Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Stuchetz. I'll be your host today. I'm a part of the marketing team over here at Tech 30, and I'd just like to thank everyone for attending this webinar. Today we have Alec Viss, who will be giving a live presentation on finance functions. And just to remind everyone, if you have a question at any time during this webinar, you can just drop it in the chat box or question box, and we will do our best to answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Now, I'm just going to give a little background of who Tech 30 is and what we have to offer. We are a value-added reseller of PTC software products, and we're also an engineering services company that helps engineers solve problems associated with design, analysis, manufacturing, and product development. We are at our best when we can expand the business of our customers and build a community by connecting them with those who benefit with networking with each other. Our company was established in 2002, and we currently have over 80 employees in our office. Our headquarters is located in Mission Viejo, California, but we're distributed all around the US, meeting the needs of our customers. Tech 30 also has small business status and 4 business units. The first being PTC software. Second, we represent a number of active manufacturing companies. Third, we provide engineering services. And fourth is Siemens Software. As a PTC value-added reseller, we focus on these products listed from PTC Mathcad, Creo, Windchill, and ThingWorx and Vuforia. As you can see, we also have a broad portfolio of 3D printing companies. We represent industrial use cases for 3D printing involving plastics and metals, and we help our customers make additive manufacturing part of their finished product. We use it for tooling, fixtures, and jigs. Now, before I pass the presentation over to Alec, I want to inform you of the services Tech 30 provides around Mathcad. Not only do we sell the software, but we provide a unique value-added service to ensure that our customers make the most of their software purchase. But first, what is value-added services? Well, for one, it's automation, or the reuse of calculations, the collaboration, sharing of those calculations, and worksheets in an easily understood document. And the natural math, creating calculations as you would on paper that everyone can understand with no coding or development experience necessary. Tech 30 offers conversion services for Mathcad as well. Customers often see the value of standardizing on tools such as Mathcad to make it more collaborative and efficient with your organizations. This will become even more evident, especially after seeing Alec's presentation. However, one of the barriers to adopting Mathcad is getting calculations from other formats into Mathcad. Because really, who has time to bring legacy Excel files, handwritten calculations, or MATLAB files into Mathcad Prime? That's where Tech 30 can come in. You can give us your calculations in whatever format they're in, and we'll convert the data for you and hand you brand new Mathcad Prime files. We'll even train your users to use Mathcad to ensure maximum use of the tool. So if this situation describes the state of your engineering calculations, please let us help you. With that, I'm going to be turning over this webinar to Alec.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. So today we're going to talk about the different finance functions that Mathcad has to offer. So they come in 4 flavors, which is payment functions, interest rate, number of payments, which is kind of like how long it takes to pay things off, and then future value of investment functions. So just going to go to Mathcad and go through that. Go through the payments functions first. So let's just say we have like a per annual interest rate of 6%, and we have 12 pay periods in a year. So we're going to say n pari is 12, and we're going to say we want to know the interest rate per period. So that will just be P rate. Just set that equal P rate, go N rate divided by pari, N pari. to equal 5%. So then I want to say I have this loan and I want to pay it off in 5 years. So I'm going to say the number of periods for that is just going to be 5 times 12. The number of periods in a year, which is going to be 60. So, and I'm going to say I want to take out a loan for $10,000. All right, so the first function we're going to go through is PMT. So PMT is a function that lets you determine the minimum amount you'd have to pay towards a loan to pay it off within the certain time frame, given an interest rate. So I'm going to input the interest rate per period, the number of periods, and then the principal value of the loan we're taking out. And we see here it's negative $193.32.8. Something to keep in mind is that these values, when you're making a payment, will always come out negative. That's just the notation Mathcad uses, which makes sense. You're losing money, so it should be negative. All right, so the other two functions that we're going to talk about is PPMT and IPMT. These two functions are basically the amount that you would pay at a certain period within your payment period. So in the nth pay period, we'll say it's 36, a little bit more than halfway. So at the 36th period of payments we're making, you want to know, if we want to know how much we're paying towards the principal or the interest rate, then we would use these functions. So PPMT is for the principal. So we'll take in P rate, the nth pay period, and then we're going to take the number of pay periods to pay it off, and then the principal value of that. And we'll see here that we'll pay $170 towards the principal, a little bit more than halfway. And we're also do IPMT, which is the same thing, but it looks at the interest you'd pay during that term. So you can see here it'd be $22 you'd pay at that pay period. So you also do this earlier in the pay period too. So if you want to do at the 10th pay period, you would pay $150 about. Or if you want to do as close to near the end, then you'd pay $183, which makes sense. You're getting closer, so you're gathering less interest during that pay period. So bring that to 36. All right, so then you can see here that if I were to take these two values and then make this equal to P, and then make this lower one equal to I, or do P plus I, that'll just be the amount we're paying each month. So there'll be that value split accordingly. All right, so moving forward, yep, these are the functions that we covered earlier. And then there are 3 cumulative interest functions. So these functions are basically to determine the total amount of interest you'd end up paying for your loan given compounding interest. So the first one is QINT, and this would be your interest rate plus the number of periods you're going to pay it off, where you're going to start paying it off, and then where you're going to end paying it off. So, sorry about that. And then, oh, I didn't put the principal amount that you took out. That'd be important. So, and let me just go into math formatting and give you some more decimal points to look at. So we can see here it's about $1,600 you're going to be paying towards an interest rate. So let's do QMPRN, and then it's a function. So we're going to do the same inputs. So it's going to be the interest rate times the number of periods times the principal value, and then this function is a cumulative principal you're going to be paying. So you would imagine that over the whole period, then you would just get the $10,000 back. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see here, PRN. All right, so we're just going to go to functions and then just search that function. Sometimes that happens. QPRN. And then All right, so let's do P rate, NPR, PER, PV, 1. Sometimes this happens when, let's see, when a function asks for more arguments than is necessary. It kind of requires those arguments sometimes when you're before it can recognize it as a function. So if you put too few arguments, it won't recognize it as a function. If you put too many, it won't recognize it. So in this case, if we paid 1 to 60, then we would see that we would get back $10,000, which makes sense because that's how much our loan was. But if we wanted to know how much we would pay towards the principal at some arbitrary time, this would give us an idea of where we would be in our loan. And as we see here, when we're about 3/4 of the way through, we'd be at $7,200 paid towards the loan. Okay, and then the last function is APR. So, or I shouldn't say APR, it's EFF. I'm gonna define it as APR, and this is the effective annual interest rate function. So these two above functions were given compounding interest. So you would imagine that with compounding interest, we would get we'd have an effectively higher interest rate given that. So this would calculate that for us. So we could see here it'd be about 6.2%. And then, okay. So next ones is the interest rate functions. So these would be for situations where you have a future value of an investment and you want to know how much long it'll take to get to that value. So this is from the perspective of, say, a bank giving out a loan. So go back to Mathcad. Let's go to a new page for this. So we were to have some future value that we want to attain. So we'll say that's 25,000. And then we're going to say we're a bank and we wanted to know what the interest rate would be for our loan of $10,000 over a given period and of our future value. So this is per pay period, we would have to have a 1.5% interest rate per pay period over 5 years for that $10,000 to make us and reach 25,000. So that's kind of how that would be used. And then the alternative of this effect function would be the nom function, which will return the nominal interest rate. Say if you had, you wanted a certain interest rate that you wanted to attain, you would use this to determine what kind of stated value you would have to take into account compounding interest. So this would be input the annual interest rate and then the number of pay periods in a year. And then we can see here we get back our 6% that we originally had. So, all right, in addition, we have a rate function, and this rate function is basically used to calculate, it's the same situation as the above C rate, but it would be taking into account payments made towards a loan. So what kind of interest rate we would have to reach that value, considering payments made towards it. So we would take into the payments made every period with the principal value and then a placeholder. So it would be about 5% or 0.5%, which is what we had above, which kind of matches up. All right, so going further. So the other kind of sort of function sets would be these number of period functions. And these functions are kind of made for determining how long it'll take to actually reach a certain value. So going to Mathcad, this would be CNPER, which is one of them, which is determining the number of periods it would take for a principal value investment to reach some future value investment. So in this case, it would be, we're going to take our periodic interest rate we're going to take our principal value of the loan, then our future value that we want to attain. And then we can see here that it takes about 183 payment periods to reach that $25,000. In addition, we can say NPER, which is going to be take our periodic interest rate again, but this will be taking into account payments made towards it. Again, our principal value and then our future value. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see what's going on here. This is not functional. Oh yeah, this is a similar situation as before. So we have where it's taking into account, it's looking for more arguments than is necessary sometimes. So PV and then FVAL, and then this is the extra argument we don't need. All right. So in case you like run into a situation where you know something's a function for sure, and then but it's not recognizing it as a function, that's one way you could do it. You could just search in the functions list and just bring it into the table. So in this case, you'd see 159.9, so about 160 payment periods it would take to reach this future value. All right, and then I believe this last set of functions is the future value function. So this would be where you don't necessarily know what kind of return you would get on an investment. So you just know that you have a certain amount of time to pay it off and a certain interest rate and a certain payments made towards it. So going back to Mathcad, we're going to say we're going to change it up. So we're going to say we have about $10,000 as principal, and we're going to say we have, or actually, hold on, let's not do this yet. We're going to go through the FD function first. So we're going to say we want to know what kind of future value we would have given an interest rate, and then also a number of periods it would take to pay it off with certain payments being made towards it. And then we can see here that would be about $13,000. Now this is a little different from, this is using a fixed interest rate. So you may notice above, if you were clever, you'd notice that, oh, we had actually paid $1,600 of interest, and this would be basically about $1,300. So that's basically, this one was for compounding interest, and this one was for a fixed interest rate. So that's kind of the difference there. And then in addition, all right, now we'll go through this. We have $12,000 we're taking out, and then we're going to use this function FVADJ, and this function is used for if you have a scheduled interest rate. So if you give out a loan or you make an investment and you know the interest rate on it is going to be increasing over time, or based on some schedule, you can make that, you could take that into account and determine the amount you would gain from that. So it'd be, let's say we had a 4% interest rate, and then it'll increase to a 5% interest rate, and we're going to make that into a 5.5% interest rate per period. So separate these. So in this case, we can determine what the future value would be. So we're going to take this principal, and we're going to take the schedule, and then we can see here, this is the amount of money we would make from it. So in addition, there's a cash flow function. So this would be a case where you have say a vector of different cash flows. So we can say we have $100 coming from one source, 50 from another, 0, 200, 0, and then 300. And we want to know how much interest rate we would gain from all the sources put together. So we would use the FBC function to, and whatever our periodic interest rate would be, and then put in this cash vector. And we would gain this vector together would be about 650, and then we would gain about $5 from that vector. So, all right, so that's basically the majority of the finance functions that you'll see in Mathcad. So these can be used for many different things, from whether you're in banking and you want to just determine the interest rate from the loans, or whatever, if you're making investments and want to know what kind of investment return you would make, or if you just want to know where you're going to be at with your mortgage, you can use these tools. So I hope you learned something, and I'll open up to questions.
Thank you, Alec. We actually have a question from Bethany Runyon, and their question is, are there any limitations with the function shown?
Yeah, so with this rate function, because Mathcad is use a sophisticated guess and check method for a lot of these functions, it has to go through iterations to actually find a solution for it. So this function, after 20 iterations, if it doesn't find a value within 10 to the minus 7%, basically it'll return an error. So in that case, that's what these extra arguments are kind of about. This one is a 0. This one determines the type of loan you're giving out, so it's a 0 or 1. So basically that just means whether it's at the end of a pay period or at the beginning of a pay period. And the other one you can do by default, it makes a 0.1 guess to start with. And if you're getting an error, that basically because it ran through 20 iterations and it didn't find anything, that's a case where you may want to just change where your guess value is and where it is to start. So, let's see. And so, yeah, and hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Alec. And there's one more question I see, and it is, why did you divide the interest rate by 12 in the function where interest rate increased?
Oh, that was just because this function takes into account the periodic interest rate. So I didn't know what the periodic interest rate would be for annual interest rate of 4.5%. So I divided by 12, which is the number of pay periods for, say, like a mortgage. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answers. Looks like there are no more questions in the chat box. So to end on that note, just as a reminder, I highly encourage you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we have previous Creo, Mathcad, and Windchill webinars and tutorials. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well to be updated on any upcoming events, webinars, and exclusive deals from PTC. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.